So fundamentally, I think transformative repair and reuse is about the transformation of objects and materials, but in particular, the transformation of objects and materials that would otherwise become waste. But I think beyond that, it's also about the transformation of culture, and in some respects, the transformation of community. It has this kind of thing that if we can sort of start to value waste or materials that would otherwise become waste, and we can start to see what its potential is and how it can become more beautiful and more functional and have another life and another purpose beyond its previous life, then that can transform the way we see the world.
I keep coming back to this kind of consistent truth that there's, in many ways, no better way of being sustainable than to just use something that's already had a life.
One evening when I was putting the children in the chair, that one of them actually fell through. So that they were actually in okay condition, not great, until we started probably using more and more. And there was probably a period of 15 years from them not being sat in. So, you know, there was probably a little bit of deterioration over that time, being brought back from Paris, being in my great aunt's house, then being in storage, then being in mine, and being starting to be used again with the humidity and the conditions.
But even at the beginning, when I first started making some contacts about the repair, people was no, we don't, no experience, and we wouldn't touch it.
And I think because of what the chairs are, a lot of people just didn't want to touch them either and be responsible for them. I asked a lot of people about the sticker if they would just remove it for me, because the powder coater would completely burn them off, and no one wanted to touch them either.
So how was that resolved?
I just researched for hours how to keep a sticker
intact.
It's a secret. It's a secret.
We have transformed the chairs, but there's still a chair, there's still a functional chair, like the Planner Spider chairs were originally. I started weaving in the late 70s, and so I have gone through many forms of learning about weaving, but I've essentially been weaving since then because, you know, and that's a long time.
I just wanted to get a little bit of background about these objects from you before, you know, I start the repair process. I think that would really help with my process.
Well, the Qantas one initially, that was actually belonged to my brother James, and he, I think Dad got it for him. It was sort of one of those things that we both sort of, funnily enough, had an obsession with planes and cars and boats, I suppose, like most boys do. Must have had it for 30 years now, I think, and it's just sort of dried out and cracked a bit, and you can see that it's kind of fallen apart, but I still love how it looks, and I love the old 747 shape, and there's something that's so classic about it.
So it's obviously a mass manufactured object made of plastic. I love the shape as well, and I wanted to do something that hopefully maintains the shape. I can either build it back up or break it down, you know what I mean? So I can cut it further into smaller pieces and build from that. I thought about even grinding it all the way down to like just powder and then just working with just the sort of plastic particles.
I mean, sometimes it's nice to have boundaries because you know then which realm to stay in, but then it's also you get some of the crazy stuff when you just go out there. But I think I love the shape of them because they're the most classic and reliable aeroplane, and there's something really cool about that. So maybe this is your chance to make the evolution of the 747.
That was a replica of my grandfather Laurie's plane. And it was his Cessna 310, and he used to have that hanging in his office, and his office was in Merimbula upstairs in the airport, and it used to just hang from the roof there.
It's all just like, I think about paying homage to the plane, its legacy, and the place it came from, and just capturing kind of like a nice, like, gentle, quiet stillness that I think about when I think about that place.
Well, just like I say, obsolescence is in the eyes of the beholder. You know, people take obsolescent objects. In South Africa, I've seen people make the most wonderful string bags out of old used plastic bags that are, you know, then they have a new life, you know. You see the same thing around the world, people taking things and reimagining them. So, and I think it's great. It's just we're held back by our conventional understanding about what things are quite often.
Oh yes, well, back then when I started making artworks, artifacts, I always lived by this little code I always got. If I can't buy it, you know, might as well make it, you know. And if I can't get the materials I need, you know, like, well, material, you know, costs money, you know, like plank of wood and iron costs money, so I started, and now there's heaps of metal in the bush and all that, so I started, collecting from the bush, all the tough metal, all of that.
Yeah, look, everything wears out, even us. So, you know, breaking down is part of that process of wearing out, I guess. And the world is in constant retransformation, as the fossils that I studied when I was younger told me. You know, what is now land was once sea. What was once a living shell is now a piece of rock.
Well, I was thinking I was gonna repair it, make it brand new. But then I was thinking, nah. I was thinking about carving on it, doing a carving. But I think, nah, that's a bit too. Because carving that was done like worldwide, you know, people carving on X. So I was looking at it, I left that X on the table and I was strong, look at it, you know. I was thinking, saying, what to do. Then him came to me, this wooden house, wooden cabin, and then click straight away, them built houses with this, you know, with this axe. So them chop the tree down, split the wood into planks. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's what I'll do. So I'll build a house on top of it, you know, to show that that axe been built that house or something, you know. So that's what I'm doing, yeah. So it came to me, yeah.
Look, I think it's amazing. He's turned the axe into both the object that the axe is made to serve, the house, and the object the axe came from, the trees. It kind of tells a little story there, really. It's a really nice piece of art, I think.
And we should point out that Iliam Naguda, the artist who made it, has made a miniature of your axe for you.
Oh, really?
That's what's in that small box in the front there.
Oh my God. I would love to. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's fantastic. Wow, it really is a little, it's got a proper steel head on it. That is fantastic.
I mean, we had no expectation of this at all. It just showed up in the box.
So the story of the scooter, I should just start there. The story of the scooter is that my mum bought this scooter in secret. And my dad has always ridden motorbikes and mum not. And mum just got on this, got a bee in her bonnet, and she secretly went and she bought the scooter, and then she said to my dad, like, let's go on a date and I'll meet you. You ride your scooter and I'll meet you in Circular Quay and at this specific location. And then he turned up and there she was on this cute little Vespa. It's very cute, isn't it? The whole story. It's very romantic. And she was like, yeah, I ride a scooter now. So it has a beautiful beginning.
In my personal life, yeah, I have sort of often, you know, tried to repair or fix something. I think there's a certain sense of satisfaction, a certain sense of machismo, even maybe like, Daddy fixed it, you know, that my kids love. It's gotten to the point that my son thinks I can fix anything.
Well, the scooter did actually mechanically start to become a challenge, and the balance of freedom and mechanical oppression became a little heavier on the mechanical oppression, and I couldn't make it work.
You know, as a whole, it's still a really functional object. So all that we had to really do in the end was focus on rebirthing it. So I really did want this. I really do want this thing back on the road and being loved again by somebody.
Ready?
Yeah.
Life, and I think like stages of life for humans, for animals and objects are really fascinating. Like no one could have predicted this.
I was a bit nervous at the beginning, you know, a bit of a responsibility, the Campana brothers, and doing something with their work. So I didn't, it took me a little while to work out what to do until I decided that I wanted to do something different to what existed, but I wanted to use every piece, all the components that was part of the original piece.
Yeah, I remember the Campana brothers when we start to speaking about this lamp. The lamp was a little bit an secondary arguments. The first argument was to have this kind of grid of use of transformation. Yeah.
Since the beginning, we have this question about sustainability. We didn't want to work with noble woods from the Amazon, so we started finding things giving a second skin to materials already existed.
In some ways, it was unexpectedly easier than I thought. I thought that it might get challenging to put all these things together, so it actually worked out. But because the nature of them is so juxtaposed and everywhere, it doesn't really matter. It's in the hands of the gods, the way they all come together. So it's kind of lovely, and that is the nature of the way the original piece is.
I love it.
And this is the full.
Wow, beautiful, amazing.
Beautiful, very beautiful. It's a new lamp.
There is a responsibility because I really appreciate the Campana brothers' work, but at the same time, I think it's good not to be overly precious too. It's just it's having a bit of fun with an object and creating something that's hopefully interesting and should resonate on some form. Being different to what it originally was.
It's amazing, and it's a good way to it's a good project for I'm very curious to see other objects.
And I always think about every single silkworm or cotton bud that was picked off a tree that goes into the incredible story of making a piece of clothing outside of creative work, outside of all of the amazing hands. There's just so many layers that bring objects together. And then there's another layer that is, what we call permanently damaged. And that is the garments that we contributed to this project.
Well, the Bianca Spender clothing was wonderful, but it hurt to cut it up because it felt like I was, I shouldn't be doing that. But we did it anyway. And then the other fabrics that I chose are actually external materials for outside, which kind of keeps with it being a sun lounger.
I think there is a broader question around imperfection in our society and how we can accept it and what we can accept. I think that we have got to a place in our industrialization where we are looking for perfection in everything. And I think that we need to challenge that as creatives and designers.
And then from 3D, we colour it, unwrap it, make all the patterns, cut all the foam, and then upholster it, and then do all the details. And so it's through the communication of those steps sometimes where imperfections happen. And also the behaviour of materials is not the behaviour of a 3D model or a vector.
I can see her colour scheme now, which is why I flipped the back, because I could tell that was definitely the inside, not the outside of it. And she has so carefully, with all of the binding, mirrored everything. I mean, she's gone to such intense detail. Labels are really interesting things, and I don't know if I ever imagined seeing my label on an object like this. I would love to see someone who wasn't me trying to find the elements of the work in it. And I think it's very kind that she feels like I am a collaborator in this project.
Each work that I make is an archive of a future that is a discussion around where humanity is going, and this is a manifestation of that question.